Kinky Friedman was in a band. Someone tell me from the other room. Something in the Jew Cowboys. I can't remember the name of the group, but he's from the Austin, Texas, which right now South by Southwest is going on, and I wish people were talking about it more on Twitter. Unbelievable. If you're not there, just put a big L on your forehead. That's what they want you to feel, the people who write from South by Southwest on the Twitter. See the rib place. No, you won't. I can't do it. I can't even do the buffering gag because I'm laughing all the way through it. It doesn't work. Are you watching us live on the YouTube? I hope you are. Write to us at contact@kevinpollakchatshow.com and let us know how you do the show. We're getting your emails, and I appreciate them. And as soon as I get a good one, I'll read it and share it with you. Send in your Larry King game. Win yourself a damn T-shirt. Don't be afraid. New shows dropping every Tuesday on the Hulu. Do you watch us on the Hulu? I'm getting emails now that people are watching us on the Hulu. Or maybe you're listening on the Earwolf. Wolf Dead? Is that the end of every show? I don't want to waste too much time at the top. We're on limited time today. Jamie, you just had another friend, yet another house guest.
And I have my family visiting.
Yeah, but 5 weeks from now.
Yeah, 5 weeks from now, and I'm declaring this on the air right now. I'm no more guests in 2014. I'm done. I'm done. No, I'm dead. I'm done. I am dead serious. Like Bart is dead serious about going to Itchy and Scratchy Land. I am not.
You're done.
I'm done.
Yeah, it's March 9th.
I'm sorry?
It's March 9th.
I can't do it
barely
anymore.
Into the third month.
I'm so physically and emotionally drained, and I'm fighting like a little bit of a throat thing.
Yeah, a little bit of you picked up a thing. Well, you went to the hockey game. You saw your Pens beat the #1 Ducks.
I did, in a shootout. It was a very exciting game. It was a very close game.
Did you come from behind?
We did. Well, yes, we did come from. Yes, we tied up. Yeah, in the third period, and then it went into overtime, and then it went into a shootout because nobody scored in overtime.
Amazing.
It was amazing.
You had some swinging seats.
We did.
I want to thank Lisa there out at the Anaheim Ducks organization.
No, it was a very exciting game. Very close. It's nice when they're close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did Sid the Kid play?
Yes, he did.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Malkin wasn't so great. But
oh, really? Who scored in the shootout? Do you remember? One of them new kids?
Where's Mark when I need him?
Oh, man. He's flying home.
No, he's home already.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, I know, because I had to get up at 7 a.m.
Oh, boy. There it is. There it is. That's the part we were waiting for. I want to thank the fine folks in Peoria, Illinois, where I just flew back from. You know, the old saying in show business is, will it play in Peoria? Dates back to vaudeville. They would test out material there. Of course, Richard Pryor was raised there, as was Sam Kinison. They're very proud of those two comedic exports. Of course, Pryor was living in a whorehouse. So maybe these are not the memories that... Anywho, thank you, Peoria, for your comedy audiences and apparently your whorehouses.
I want to be a whore in Peoria.
Yeah, who doesn't want to be a whore in Peoria, I ask you. Well, let's get to our guest, who is signing up as I speak. All right, so write to us at contact@kevinpollakchatshow.com, and thank you, Jukebox, the comedy place there in Peoria. That was a lot of fun. It was a good weekend. And on the eve of my returning to work on the Mom television program, we happen to have the star here, Anna Faris. What are the chances? Hello.
What are the chances?
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Please. We had your husband so many years ago.
I know.
Probably 2 or 3 years ago.
He said he had a great time. Great time.
You know, you hopefully have noticed this, being technically in love with the man. But as he sat across from me, he was in a particular thin version, because we all know he's tried them all on.
He's tried them all.
He was in a particular thin version. He had a sweater, a cardigan kind of thing. He looked like Errol Flynn.
Really?
Yes.
That's very funny. He was probably hungry. He's hungry a lot.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And he was wearing a cardigan.
And he was wearing a cardigan. He was all tailored up.
I don't know. if I know that cardigan.
I don't think you do. I think it was, it came from some photo shoot or something, and he probably lost it by the time he got home.
I haven't seen the cardigan since.
Let me ask you a couple of things at the top. Get some annoying. We have a dossier here that Jason McIntyre, who is our research producer, who's at South by Southwest right now working his ass off. We get a couple of the annoying ones out of the way right at the top. How often are you asked if you know what Bill Murray whispered to Scarlett?
Oh, it's been a while.
Good.
It's been a while.
Because I was reading and thinking, I'll bet that still plagues her to this day. And did you base your character on Cameron Diaz?
Oh, that's the bigger one. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, you can't really say.
Did I ever tell you the story about?
Please.
Yeah, honestly, I can.
Yeah, divulge.
I can tell this. A lot of people don't believe me, but this is the truth.
Okay.
I was cast in that movie. I had auditioned doing some of the crazy improv that Sophia had me do. 6 months went by. A bunch of my friends auditioned for it. I thought, at the time, I felt like I really, it felt like Cinderella's shoe. Just like, oh man, I feel like I loved playing that role, and I thought it was really funny. And this character's super obnoxious, and blah blah blah. Anyway, ended up getting the role at the last minute. Go over, shoot the film. I'm in the last week of production there. I have no idea what's going on. It looks like everyone's pretty exhausted.
Really?
A little bit grumpy, maybe.
Sure.
I mean, they've been shooting in Tokyo for whatever, a month. I do my thing. I come home. The movie comes out at roughly the same time as one of the scary movies.
Sure.
So I was doing press, and the questions started to roll in from the journalists, and I was completely blindsided. I had people would say, so come on, it's Cameron Diaz, right? It's Cameron Diaz. And they were putting, the story together of like being John Malkovich and Justin Timberlake, and
Crazy.
And I had no idea. And to this day, I still don't know. And then I heard rumors that it was autobiographical on Sophia's part. I have no idea if that's true. I don't have the courage to ask her.
Yeah.
I feel badly that I was a part of this
controversy.
Yeah, I don't know Cameron. I really like her. I like her work. I wanted to send her flowers.
Well, yeah, but
I'm
it's
really
great that other people made up this story, and it had no basis in a conversation that ever took place. Some journalists just made it up. They just guessed, because your character at one point is at this press conference and mentions the movie with Keanu, and I believe the record will show that Keanu and Cameron have not done a film together.
Yes, it didn't even occur to me at the time to think about that stuff.
Yeah, and it could have been a number of actresses that it was based on.
I sort of like to think of her as a combination of a few people.
Yeah.
But, I was new in town. I didn't know any big stars, so I was only sort of, I just wanted to be an obnoxious, narcissistic character.
Right.
Who's a little clueless.
Yeah, and that's what I thought when I saw the movie. I didn't think, oh, who is that? I thought it was a fictional creation.
Yeah.
Based on the character that I think a lot of actors want to play. One of the most fun characters I've ever played would be an out-of-touch ego. There's nothing more enjoyable than that.
Than a person in a bubble.
Yeah.
I know. It is really fun.
So now I'm also wildly curious about just working in Tokyo, period. Like, I've somehow avoided the entire Asian portion of the globe. I'm not on any sort of strict diet of where I want to go, but that's just how it worked out. So it is interesting how work sometimes will force you to go to places that you thought maybe you might want to, but didn't create for yourself.
Yeah. I felt like I was messing up all the time. I felt like there were a set of rules that I didn't know about, and it was sort of, it was at the time, it was November in Tokyo. It was very rainy, very gray. A lot of the architecture's new because of, World War II was sort of bombed out or whatever, so there's a lot of gray tones, and then the big sort of electronic billboards that had this very much like a Blade Runner feel, and I was really arrogant. I'm going to confess this on the podcast.
All right.
I thought going over there, because I knew nothing about Japan in general.
Neither do I.
But I thought, well, because I've got this
blonde hair,
crazy bleach blonde hair, you know, I would attract some attention.
Hello. He's going to stand out.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
How many blonde Americans are walking around?
Nobody looked at, and I think that I later learned that eye contact is considered, I think, impolite, especially with strangers. Anyway, I just felt like kind of an ass.
I think the research actually shows, because I thought this might come up, making eye contact in Japan from a local man to a blonde American is just shy of rape. That's the belief. Why did you look at Kenny?
I'm asking him.
You're asking him?
I'm asking him if I
These people are not from Japan.
He's been to Japan.
Aha!
I was messing up the whole time. I was just messing.
Well, there's strict rules everywhere. You could mess up going to Disneyland.
He's Taiwanese.
Yes, you do. You've pointed that out to me 100 times. Stop saying Asian, Kevin. He's from a specific area.
But I actually, anyway, not to give, I loved shooting there, and it was an amazing opportunity. And the crew was different in an interesting way, and it was surreal.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Did you cross paths at all with the Bill Murray, who's fascinating to everyone?
Yes, I did. And
what can you tell us? What are you legally allowed to mention?
He was so lovely to me. I was completely intimidated. I don't think I even said much at all.
He's iconic.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, he's iconic.
Because what do you even say? You even feel like an ass saying, "Oh, I'm a huge fan."
I know.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, what about Bob? What do you say? You know?
What about Bob? yeah, that'd be nice to say sincerely. Hey, what about Bob? Right? Just to see if he would chuckle.
And then it'd be like baby steps.
Baby steps.
Baby steps.
Yeah.
That may be one of my favorite performances that's often overlooked. And Sofia Coppola, you mentioned the improvisation. Was that something you were happy to do, thrilled to do? Because later in the dossier, we're going to get to the dictator when there's serious improv skills needed.
Yeah. You know, improv, and you must feel, I think maybe you would feel the same, is really inappropriate sometimes.
If the other actor's counting on a cue, for example?
Yes, if you lose complete direction of the scene, if it can be really indulgent. You know, doing the scary movies, we had a lot of comics that would come in and do a lot of improv, and
oh, geez.
You would just, it was always funny, but you would just be thinking in the back of your head, like, this is never going to make it. This is a waste of time.
Yeah.
But when you have a really specific character, and somebody like, I can't even remember my character's name in Lost in Translation.
Let's say Gwen.
Gwen, Gwenny. Then I think there's, you can play in that realm. Yeah. And so we did, she was great. She would just sort of leave the camera running, and we would brainstorm about some obnoxious ideas. And I had a very surreal audition for it. She asked me if I knew the song Nobody Does It Better.
From the Bond film?
Yes. And I said, I know the Nobody Does It Better part. She said, could you sing that and dance? So I did. I started, and I was like kicking, and I was singing, you know, just Nobody Does It Better over and over and over again, half as good as you.
As the character?
Yes, yeah.
Who's in her own...
Kelly, that was her name.
Kelly, who's in her own world. Yeah,
there's a scene where she's doing karaoke, and Scarlett and Bill spot her in the lobby, and they run away from her. Anyway, I loved sort of, and she was very open to, I mean, I think the original script for Lost in Translation was only like 65 pages or something. Wow. There's a lot of room for that.
That she wrote, and I think was nominated.
Yeah.
I know this because of our neighbor, Brian Dolmurray.
Yeah.
Was telling us that because she won for that, and then Bill had said something like, "For what?" The script was like 65 pages long.
She won the Oscar. That's
she won the Oscar for that,
did.
And he didn't understand. He's like, "For what? We improvised the entire movie."
Yeah. Wow.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that.
No.
Sorry, Murray.
I don't think it was under lock and key.
No, but I think I mean, she had a beautiful vision, and it was really a huge honor to be a part of. Oh, but just the last little bit, Warren Beatty walked into that audition as I'm singing Nobody Does It Better. And I just thought...
Walked in to the room?
He walked into the room.
To say hello? While you were singing?
I had no idea what was going on. Yeah, I'm singing, you know, nobody does it better. The door handle starts to jiggle. We're both looking over at it. Sophia's still filming me. And in walks Warren Beatty.
Sure.
And they had a completely surreal conversation that I'll never forget.
None of which you can share?
No, it was, hey, Sophie. Hey, Warren. And they were really quiet. And Warren said, oh, how are your parents? She said, oh, my dad's in Thailand. How's Annette? Oh, she's in Canada hunting and fishing with the boys. And I was just like, I'm in over my head. I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. I don't know. I'm from Edmonds, Washington. I don't know anybody who even has a passport.
This is high atop Mount Rushmore of show business, having a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Warren Beatty is, he was one of those famous people. I guess Bill Clinton is the other one that comes to mind, where when they talk to you, they make you feel like you're the only human being on the planet.
Yeah.
They have that eye contact that actually lifts you up off the ground.
And then you're kind of devastated when they go away.
Yeah.
Or they don't remember you.
Yeah.
Or, right? I don't know. You're right. And there's certain people that it feels like the sun is shining on you when they're talking to you, and you feel...
He was about to do the movie Bugsy with Barry Levinson.
Oh, really?
And so just prior to that, he came to the premiere of Avalon, which was the movie Barry wrote and directed right before Bugsy. That was my introduction to being in a real dramatic film. And the Warren Beatty walked up to me at the premiere and said, you were very, very good.
Oh.
But like
Isn't
really like just giving away the littlest, most amount, which was the crumbs I needed desperately. Yeah.
What's the deal with swearing on this?
Please do.
So when finally, I was trying literally to make a gracious exit because I knew
while they were talking,
the audition was over, I guess, at that point. Yeah. But Sophia said, oh, and this is Anna Faris. I was like, that's right. And
wow.
She's from one of a spoof movie, the scary movie. I said, yeah. And Warren finally turns to me and he looks at me and he goes, that was pretty fucking funny.
Wow.
And that was my same crumb.
Same crumb.
I was like, oh.
He gives the crumb.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Beatty.
Yeah. Yours is better.
Oh, no.
I sort of had a generalization of the movie.
No. Please.
Well,
why? I mean, the fact of the matter is, you expect someone of that altitude to not feel the need to say anything. So if they say something, it's genuine.
And who would have thought he would have seen any of the scary movies?
I know, and that's the other thing. We don't think these people actually do human things.
Right.
Isn't it funny that you can be around show business your entire life, or a bulk of it, and still retain that? I think that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I'm I don't know. When people have that similar thing in them, I always notice it.
No, I'm grateful that I grew up where I did. I'm grateful that I still feel starstruck and in awe of people, and I'm glad that I'm not numb to that stuff. I guess.
There should always be people out there, whether it's Bill Murray or the Dr. Beatty. In my book that I'm finally giving you a copy in your gift bag.
Yes.
I talk about Nicholson that way because, everyone would walk up to Jack and talk to him, and I couldn't. I'm technically co-starring with him in a film. Still can't talk to him.
Really?
Because I just want to leave him alone. Because he's one of those guys you just assume is just constantly bothered.
Right.
And he couldn't have been more gregarious, and blew my mind with how goofy he was. I didn't expect a Jack Nicholson to be goofy.
Right.
Right?
No.
And still couldn't bug him. Kiefer Sutherland would just stroll right up to him. Hey, you want to get a beer after work? No problem. And I would just sit there and, how do they do it? I can't.
I know.
Funny how that is. So let's talk about the drama, because you did start at such a young age in Seattle Repertory Theater, which, for anyone who knows anything about theater, which I know very little, but what I do know is something like Seattle Rep for a 9-year-old girl Was it impactful on you? Were you even old enough to appreciate that you were accepted into this pretty heady territory?
It was
not like community theater we're talking about.
No, it was kind of amazing. I mean, I remember I think I made $200 for the run, and I bought myself a piano phone, with the keys. That was the big thrill.
Well, you were 9.
Yeah. My mom enrolled me in a bunch of classes, when I was 6 or whatever, ceramics and soccer, and one of them was an acting class, and I just loved it. I didn't like anything else, and so she continued to enroll me in these acting classes, and one of the teachers suggested that I audition for this Arthur Miller play at the Seattle Rep, and I ended up getting it, and then that sort of started kind of the ball rolling. My parents were incredibly supportive. They're pretty liberal. They were always involved in the arts scene in Seattle, and so I think it was really kind of fun for them when I started to do theater. It kind of messed me up, though.
Will Arthur Miller have anything to do with that? A little bit?
I mean, I think because it became more of my identity, and it gave me so much more fulfillment than school did. I think as a result, I didn't have much of a social life, but I loved working with the adult actors. That was really exciting for me, and I think it taught me a work ethic that I think not, as you can, I'm sure, attest to, not everybody in this town has.
Yeah.
And a sense of teamwork a little bit, you know. Yeah. And but I don't know if I could go back. I don't know if I'd be any
to go back
good.
to theater?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
So it
I don't know.
doesn't call to you?
I think mostly because I'm terrified, I guess, of entering that world, mostly because a lot of the plays I've seen and read, I feel like the characters are very difficult to deconstruct in general. It feels to me like the trend of playwriting right now. I'm talking like I know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Listen, it's working.
But with our show, Mom, these characters are so familiar, I think.
Right.
And I love that. Yeah.
But there's also pathos too. That was the thing that drew me to the show.
Yeah.
Was that But I had no formal training at all in theater, so I'm especially intimidated and also amazed. But the serious Broadway stuff, to me, it's just 8 shows a week. Good night. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Can't do it. I know you got your days free, and I know the fun of the 6 weeks of rehearsal and the out of town, and I always picture like the first 3 months would be the greatest thing ever. The middle 3 months, I can get through this, and then the last 3 months was a gun in my mouth every night before I go on stage.
Yeah. I don't know how that's done. I've never done. I think the longest run has probably been 3 months that I've done, and it's hard.
6 weeks would be amazing.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I love the lifestyle. Sounds so fun too. You go out with your actors afterwards, and everybody gets wasted, and you sleep until noon. And
we've usually run into somebody at one of those after theater restaurants. Who made a big deal out of somebody? Do you remember?
I was excited to, it was Elizabeth Moss, I think I was really excited to meet.
And David Hyde Pierce.
And David Hyde Pierce.
Right.
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
But I'm a big Mad Men fan, so that's why I was excited to see.
Did I just completely go off track there about my theater musings?
No, there's no track. Okay. That's the good news. Yeah, we like to jump all over the place. But now, is there a break between your theater days as a youth to suddenly you decide you're going to go off to London?
Yeah.
You got your bachelor's from
University of Washington in English. When I'd been acting outside of school for a while, and I also was heavily involved in my drama department at school, which was sort of like the lowest of the low in terms of social status.
Drama freaks?
Drama freaks.
Yeah, they don't have a chance.
Yeah. No. They called us bat cavers.
Bat cavers?
Bat cavers.
How sweet.
Yes.
Lovely kids.
So when I went to freshman year at University of Washington, and I had an agent at this point, and I had done, little commercials or whatever, training videos, and I was able to make a little bit of cash here and there. I kind of felt like a big fish in a small scene. There's not a lot of work in Seattle. I've been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
So I entered the drama program at the University of Washington, I think with a little bit of, pretty foolish arrogance, I think, thinking, like, oh, and I didn't.
How old are you at that point?
So I was 17. I was a little bit young.
Yeah, but that's the age when you get a little ahead of yourself.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But I was sort of instantly humbled. A few things happened. I wasn't getting good grades in the drama program. No, I wasn't getting good grades, and I couldn't quite figure out what I was doing. I couldn't quite figure it out. And then I had a big audition at the ACT Theater in Seattle for a Tom Stoppard play.
What happened out there? That was weird. I think they heard us out on the street.
Maybe. And
Tom Stoppard play.
A Tom Stoppard play. I can't remember which one it was. Anyway, I was getting myself pretty worked up about this audition, and I kind of blew the audition. And I went outside and I ran into an older actor who's very well known in Seattle. He's like, how'd it go? And I said, I don't know. He said, if you can do anything else, do it. And that's sort of a mantra.
Wow.
And I was sort of like, it was at the time in my life where I thought, well, maybe I'm not all that great at acting. And there are other things that I do sort of enjoy. So maybe I'll be a little more practical and get a degree in English.
Yeah, of course, because that's a hell of a career.
Yeah.
And what 17-year-old doesn't know exactly what they should do?
Right.
My goodness. So how much of a plan was in place of this move to London before?
Plane ticket. I had the plane ticket. Yeah. I was going to live with my dear friend who was going to art school.
So now we got plane ticket, place to stay.
Place to stay, a job.
What?
Yeah, I had a job. I think it was sort of a trial period as working in the mailroom at an ad agency, because I had worked at an ad agency in Seattle. And anyway, so I was going to work in advertising, and I was still acting
abroad.
Yeah. Well, and the whole thing,
exciting.
I was going to marry a British man too.
Yeah. Well, let's be clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Colin Firth, maybe?
Yeah.
Why not?
But I was still doing training videos for extra money in college. I was still able to get some of that, the work that actually, you could make a few hundred here and there. And but I had stopped doing theater.
Right.
I ended up getting this horror movie. I was a local hire in a movie called Lover's Lane.
Oh, no, it's in the dossier.
Oh, yes, it's in the dossier. Oh, good.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
1999.
Oh, good. Yes. Yeah. And I played a cheerleader that got gutted.
Yes.
As you do.
Is there a better kind of cheerleader?
No. And
in the movies, not in life. Let's not gut the real ones, people.
And the 4 lead actors were from LA or based in LA, and I remember thinking,
they're not that impressive.
I sort of thought well, if they can do it, maybe I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should.
I'm in this movie, Lover's Lane.
I'm about to graduate college. What if? Well, I should give LA a year and be a waitress and do the thing. And if I'm happy at the end of that year, great, I'll continue to wait tables. And if I'm not happy, I'll try to marry a British man. Because that's always the road to happiness.
Yeah, please. Now, is that year you're speaking of from 1999 to 2000?
Yes.
Wherein the first scary movie happened?
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That happens in the 1-year trial.
It was my first audition in LA.
Shut up.
Yeah.
It can't be your first.
It was.
Don't tell anyone this, because they'll come here on more turnip trucks.
Well, there's many embarrassing parts of this audition story.
Well, okay, good. But keep in mind, turnip truck people, on the boards at 9 in Seattle Rep, Arthur Miller, several other plays. training videos. All right?
Training videos,
there's
yeah.
Things.
Red Robin.
There's Red Robin.
The Red Robin training videos.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I did industrial films.
You did?
For Chevrolet, sure.
They're
in
oddly
San
hard,
Francisco.
aren't they?
Well, they're just repetitive. Just 97 takes of this oil can work for you too.
I had to do one where I was diagnosed with cancer. It was it was a video for like nurse training or whatever, how to break the news to somebody that you have cancer.
And you played the person getting the news.
Yes.
A young girl getting the news.
Yeah, yeah.
Then did you turn and say, Mommy, why?
It was kind of the most dramatic work I've done.
Well, oh, man.
Except for getting, of course, gutted.
Yeah, well, then there's the gutted thing.
Yeah.
So your first audition in LA is Scary Movie.
Yeah.
But I imagine, since they went with an unknown, they must have looked at hundreds of girls.
I think I've come to the conclusion
Nope,
that
I was hired in the room.
I was the only person who was willing to do that role. You know, I think that it makes sense that they hired somebody with no comedic background and questionable ability for those.
But you had to play it real.
That's right.
You had to play it straight.
Yeah, you really, there's no winking at the audience with those
Was
particular
that the beginning of the Wayans brothers doing that kind of movie? Because they'd done so many.
They had done.
I think Keenan had done one himself.
Yeah.
But it was the first Wayans family, we're going to do a spoofy movie.
I think so. It was definitely.
Sucker. You're going to get you Sucker was Keenan Wayans, right? I'm going to get you Sucker.
Don't drink and drive.
Oh no, are you trying to think of Don't Drink Your Juice in South Central while something in the hood? Oh, what is it? Don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood.
Yes.
Did that happen before Scary Movie?
Yes.
That's what it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
I knew it would come to me.
So they went on a little broader scale on the Scary Movie. God, the statistics as I'm going through the dossier on this movie, it's startling to look back and remember, Dr. Chen. If I told you that the first Scary Movie grossed worldwide $178 million, would you be surprised by that? Because it was $278 million. Yeah. That's insane.
It was.
What was coming off the? Sorry, I was a senior in high school at the time.
Scream?
And I was the Scream movies are so immensely popular, and just to have start a new genre of parody films, everyone I knew went and saw them.
Yeah, the working title for Scary Movie was Scream If You Know What I Did Last Halloween.
Nice.
Yeah. And it did sort of have it was wildly
timing. It touched a nerve.
I think so.
Yeah.
And at the time it was so raunchy. It was like groundbreakingly raunchy. My poor mom.
Oh, the poor thing.
Oh man, she had like visions of me. My parents are so amazing, but
you were going to be
being
Gwyneth
like
Paltrow.
Joan of Arc. Yeah. Yes, Amelia Earhart.
Yeah, that's right.
Cindy Campbell, Mom.
Well, meanwhile, $278 million later, your first audition turns into Welcome to Movie Stardom.
I thought for sure I was going to get fired.
During the production?
Oh, yeah. I was like, oh, man, they're going to figure it out, that I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea how to be funny. I don't.
But you can't. You can't lean into those jokes.
No, I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
And I think.
And then that was just crazy good fortune for you, because you got to do a type of acting that you actually knew how to do.
Yes.
Which was play it real.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you were probably thinking, this can't be right.
Yes.
This playing it real thing.
And I think that's right, because I didn't, other actors on the set of Scary Movie would get laughs from the crew.
Yeah, they were being ridiculous.
And I never would, and I thought,
Nope.
I'm gonna get fired for sure. But
instead, now did you have to sign on for sequels? Because no, they probably didn't think in terms of sequels, right? Before we did the first one.
No, I did. I did sign on for sequels.
Because it would be very smart of them to get you to sign to something.
I think that was such a thing.
Ahead of time. They foolishly assumed, and then ultimately were.
And at the time,
crazy,
I
right.
was so excited.
Oh, we got you for coffee and donuts.
Yeah,
Who
I thought. I thought that meant that.
I get to do this again.
Yeah, that there was a guarantee, but no, it turns out that's just so they can.
Gouge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep you down.
But anyway, I learned so much making those movies.
And, I mean, Again, turnip truck people don't pay attention to this. But your first audition becomes the welcome to the world. There's a new It Girl.
It was, oh, they were sweet to say that.
Well, I mean, you only get 9 minutes as the It Girl, as it turns out. There's another one waiting every 9 minutes. It's unbelievable.
I know.
But, if I may, the dossier suggests you went from, I don't have the exact number, but in 2004, on Maxim's top 100 list, you were like 60-something. But in 2011, you went up. You went up to 40-something.
Oh, I did?
Yes.
But then I think I went back down again.
We're not talking about that one.
Oh, you're sweet. I think I'm like, I don't even think I'm on it anymore, but I definitely.
I thought it was great from 2004. From 2004 to 11, you went up.
You know?
Usually a gal ages and they don't allow her to be hotter in America, right? That's the unfortunate bullshit. Before we talk about working with Ang Lee, which you finally get to do a drama, finally someone's going to let you, and you were...
I was a really obnoxious character again.
Well, it's just no inner monologue.
Yeah.
She never stops talking.
No.
Right?
Poor girl.
But how fun. But first, before we talk about Ang Lee, we're going to hear from our sponsor today, aren't we? Nope. Okay, so in the middle of an otherwise cornucopia of comedic performances, are you saying to your agents, I've got to be in like an Ang Lee movie? It's enough already with this.
Well, I did feel definitely, I'm feeling incredibly fortunate. I mean, I was able to get an agent, you know, but I did feel like I wasn't, I wouldn't even be seen for dramatic roles. I couldn't even audition. I felt like there was a level of frustration because I had never, my goal was never
comedy.
I mean, my goal was just to have a job, but not that world at all. And everybody in my family and my childhood friends are all very amused, I guess, that I ended up doing comedy because
they can't believe it.
No, my
you were
college
never the funny one.
Never. No, I took myself
well, you
very
were
seriously.
Yeah, of course you were very.
I was very short.
Serious.
Yes.
Dramatic stage actress who was going to work in the theater and go to London and find a husband. But first, let's visit the Wayans brothers. It makes no sense. And that's the thing I try to tell people, which is forget the plans.
Yeah.
There's no roadmap.
No.
There's no guide, book, you know. There's
no phone number to call.
Nope.
Except for your phone number.
Hey, what?
What do I do? No.
So tell me how the Ang Lee thing begins, because it's pretty fantastic.
You know, it was that was a Focus Features film, and they had done Lost in Translation. So which was not a dramatic role, technically. Right. They invited me to come audition for Anne Hathaway's role.
Did they?
Yes, in Brokeback Mountain. I happen to have been a huge fan of Annie Proulx in general. I loved her novels, and I thought the script was just so special. And I think my agent at the time was a little bit like, you know, I don't know, it's so dark, whatever, everyone's, you know, whatever. I'm sure he probably would be so annoyed with me recounting that. But so I auditioned and in front of Ang, and it was very intimidating, and of course, and he's a lovely man, very quiet.
Just soft-spoken?
Yes. And I left, and maybe a week later, I got offered the role of LaShawn, who's like, I think she's on screen for like 30 seconds and talks a mile a minute. And what was intimidating about that is that I had never been outrightly offered a role that I hadn't auditioned for. So,
let alone a drama.
Let alone a drama. So I was really excited to still be a part of the project in any capacity. I would have done anything. But going up there and then, you know, the camera starts rolling and realizing he's never seen how I'm going to interpret this character, what I'm going to do with it. I'm wearing this crazy ass wig. My head's sweating.
Yeah, there's some big wigs.
Big wigs.
Anne's wearing a gigantic wig.
I had like a specific dialect. It was from like a certain part of Texas, and we did the take maybe 17 times.
Hello.
Yeah, I thought.
Which just makes you think I'm not doing this right.
I'm getting fired.
Yeah.
And Jake Gyllenhaal turned to me. He's like, "Don't worry, this is his process. We just do a ton of takes." So that made me feel the slightest bit better.
Did you happen to mention to Jake how difficult it is to look at him?
Yes.
It's very hard, Jake Gyllenhaal, to look at. For women, I would think.
Yeah, but you know, making that, you could just tell. It was the people, it was a small crew of the most talented people. You just sort of felt like, oh, this is something that's really special.
Yeah.
And so I'm really proud to be part of that one.
Yeah, hell yes.
Yeah.
We like to offer our audience an opportunity to ask questions directly to you. This one is from someone watching the show right now, which is not creepy at all.
No,
it's actually part of the,
no,
part
I love
of the
it.
deal.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Do you have? Is it something like?
Chill. Oh, Chill is the person? Chill?
Or C Hill?
C Hill? Oh, it could be C Hill, like Charlie Hill. There's a comic back in the 70s named Charlie Hill. Native American.
Ah.
Yep. C Hill asks, how does she kick herself out of any doubt when starting a new role? Well, this person obviously is watching and paying attention.
Interesting question.
Yeah.
Because it's you must be a performer of some sort, C Hill. Well, what do? I mean, I try my best to suppress it. I mean, I think it's there. Yeah. Sometimes I used to get so nervous that it would manifest itself in my neck.
Oh boy.
And it would tense up, and my head would start to shake, and I would be like, oh man, my head's. I was auditioning for a pilot after the Scary Movie, before it came out. Oh. I went and I was testing and in front of the studio, and they asked me to stay, so I knew that part was good. But then the casting director came out and she said, "You need to be a lot less nervous."
That's why she asked you to stay, to tell you that?
Yes. So.
Not you're going to go to the network?
But I ended up getting it, so that was good. But that I will never forget that advice. And it is like, okay, all right, I'm gonna have to. You have to figure out how you are going to control.
Compartmentalize.
Yeah. And that's part of the thrill. When we're shooting Mom, I go through these waves of like extreme terror and adrenaline rush, and how you sort of.
And that's just on Thursday in front of the crew.
Yes, totally.
You're talking about live in front of the audience.
Yeah, live in front of the audience, and just in general too. I think.
Well, because you want to get it right.
You want to get it right, yeah.
But to me, that's the joy of why this is the perfect job.
Yeah.
Because, unlike a movie, people are allowed to laugh when you do something funny, when you're shooting. So that's amazing for someone who grew up wanting to be funny his whole life. So that's great, because normally I would do something in a movie and I got to wait 9 months for the movie to come out to see if anybody else thinks it's funny, because the crew's not allowed to laugh.
I know.
There's that. And then there's if you screw up a take, as much pressure as you put on yourself, I got to get this right, I got to get this right. If you screw a take, almost no one cares.
Yeah.
Except you.
Except you.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's amazing. The audience is so forgiving.
And a live audience, if you screw up and say, oh shit, they go bananas.
I know.
She swore. I remember on the Tonight Show when Carson would make a point before he came out to do his monologue to come out and say hello to the audience. I think Letterman does it to this day, in deference to the master. But Carson would come out and talk to the audience for a couple minutes, and he would purposely say shit. And they would freak.
They would love it.
They would freak out. So anyways, yeah, it's kind of
it is.
great job.
I think.
But still, you're right. The pressure's on there. It has to be perfect. So you would put so much pressure that you'd get stiffness in your neck, and then I guess if this person hadn't told you to stop it, maybe another little head would have popped out of there or something. Would have eventually grown into.
It's taken me a long time too to realize that sometimes my own personality is enough, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to, because I played so many silly, loud, kind of crazy characters that it's so much fun. I love doing that. That when I'm straight, it feels as though it's not enough.
Right.
So that's sort of for me when the doubt comes in.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not pushing. Is that
okay? Am I interesting enough? I don't think so. Like,
there's a sense of maybe comfort from being playing a grounded character again, a real character, and then because it's a comedy, you're putting pressure on yourself too. Am I being funny enough?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Do you feel that way when you're playing like a more?
I'm one of those odd creatures who is way more pleased with his own abilities than anyone else. Like, you know how a lot of actors don't like to look at themselves in a movie? I make a joke, even though it's very close to what I would do if I was allowed, that all of my films play on a continuous loop on 7 different screens throughout the house. I can't get enough of me.
You were watching Grumpy Old Men.
She caught me watching Grumpy Old Men on the elliptical, which, by the way, was literally worse than being caught doing something else.
I'm not. You worry. I walked in and I'm like, "Are you seriously watching?"
I just got done watching. I've explained this the show episodes on Showtime,
But
which I happen to like very much.
Oh, look at this! This is great. Look at this! Look at I'm great.
Well, I hadn't seen it in 20 years.
How great this is! And then I said,
Look how terrific!
I tell you what, if I were,
I said, "Look how young and cute you were."
I would be watching all my movies too.
Yeah, that was your comment. Look at all the hair you had. Thank you, honey. Worst. Yeah, well, you know, I think it's much more normal what you're going through than what I feel, which is, am I being funny enough? I'm on a comedy. So this is a pretty great question, kicking yourself with the doubt of starting a new role. So you said you got that pilot before the Scary Movie came out, so I guess we're going to say it's a good thing that pilot didn't get picked up?
Yes, yes.
Because then the Scary Movie comes out and you're a movie star.
Well,
in that realm.
In the Scary Movie.
But the 278 million, I'm sorry, you may not be able to accept the facts as they are mathematically spoken.
Well.
But so then now after Scary Movie, is it like?
No.
No?
No.
Really?
No. And I feel like, and I'm proud to say this, that I really have fought for the roles that.
Right.
And I really like auditioning and winning a role through that process.
You want people to see what you're going to do.
Yeah.
You want, like the Ang Lee thing where he hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
And you thought, oh no.
And I like kind of, if I'm able to sort of harness my nerves, I really get a kick out of winning a role through an audition process.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, you know, there's plenty of rejection in that process too, but.
There's a sense of earning it, for sure.
I think, especially in our world, in the comedy world, it seems like, while it's incredibly hard to get your first big role, it's very, very hard, it's even harder to get the 8th, 9th, 10th role.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It's the maintaining that's considerably more difficult.
Yes.
Because the beginning could, in fact, be a fluke. And that's what you're concerned about more than anything else. How am I going to follow this? Now what? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's because I just foolishly assume that with that kind of success from a film, it's not just we want you to do another Scary Movie. It's I want her, I want her, I want her, I want her. And maybe not in the world of drama that you were interested in or elsewhere, but people must have come calling in some way.
Well,
I'm going to refuse to believe. Don't even try to play humble pie here.
No, you know, it was hard to. Eventually, I sort of reconciled myself with sort of the idea. Okay, I'm in the comedy world, so what do I do? How do I get to play the kinds of? How do I have some control over this as a woman and being known for these ridiculous spoof movies? So I started to be a little bit more involved in development, and that was sort of because I can be a really lazy person. That was out of necessity.
Right.
Yeah. So I, you know, developed the House Bunny, and we were able to sell that. And
you produced a couple of these movies.
Yeah. But that really was not by choice. It was like, well, I got to go to Plan B, marry a British dude.
Well, I got news for you. This is not a dress rehearsal, and we are pretty much all in charge of our own destinies. Honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, please don't wait until you're too old out there, people, to realize that if you're just sitting waiting for the phone to ring, guess what?
It's true. You have to be a hustler in this town.
Well, and also just in life, it's kind of what you make it. It's going to just kind of not happen unless you do it. Jamie, I believe you had a question about the House Bunny. In my notes.
I genuinely love that movie. It was so much fun. And I think we were discussing when I first met you a couple weeks ago. I really appreciate a good, funny female, and you really are.
Thank you.
Yes.
That means so
because
much
I hate, like, you can throw, anybody in a comedic role and tell me that she's funny. I'm Kristen Bell, but I don't genuinely think that they're funny. Like Anna is.
Yeah.
But I also, guilty pleasure, loved The Girls Next Door.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that you were able to film a couple scenes with Bridget and Kendra and Holly, so maybe you could talk about that one.
Yeah, so how was that working with the actual...
It was amazing.
Please?
It was incredible. I mean, first of all, the background with the House Bunny is the writers of Legally Blonde, Karen Lutz and Kirsten Smith, two incredibly talented women, wanted to meet me after they saw a crazy performance of mine in Just Friends, a movie called Just Friends. And so we're having coffee, and they said, hey, so do you have any characters that you would like to play? And this was actually before Girls Next Door. I said, I've been to the Playboy Mansion once for a premiere. What happens? Like, what happens when who tells you that it's time to move on? If you're like a lower tiered playmate, do you sleep in a bunk bed, or like
Please tell me.
Do you have like group meals? Is there a cafeteria? What
Wow.
What happens? And then when is the moment where it's like, honey, time's up? And what do? Do you just try to marry a rich guy in Iowa? And so I was talking to them about that, and I said, so I've been thinking about this gal who's like a C-level playmate, and she gets kicked out of the mansion because she has like a meth addiction, and she has to go back to like her small, maybe very conservative town with maybe she's got a slightly abusive father, and so this is like the journey of one person living in this world and going to another world. And they were looking at me and they're like,
Oh boy.
Or what if she became a president of a sorority or the house mom at a sorority? Like, okay, yeah, all right. So we ended up selling it to Happy Madison, and they were amazing, and Sony, and we got to shoot at the Playboy Mansion, which I think my original vision, we wouldn't have been able to do that with Hef and the girls, and it's completely surreal. And there's like a cocktail hour. It's still impenetrable. I left with way more questions than I had come in with.
It is a secret society.
Like, first of all,
you mean you try to get one of the girls to talk?
Yeah, Holly definitely shared I think she shared the bedroom with Hef at the time they were together.
Sure.
Who was Jamie, what was the name of not Kendra, but the other one? Bridget.
Bridget was always my favorite. She was the most normal, I would say.
Her bedroom was definitely fake to me. I mean,
her bedroom was
staged. She was the only one that also, I'm confessing guilty pleasure here. She's the only one that was never an actual playmate too. Kendra and Holly both were, and she was not.
Did she come up through the secretary pool? How did she?
I don't really remember. I mean, I know that she would be like, they would have like an issue every year that would feature the Girls Next Door, and she was allowed to be, she had whatever layout in that, but she was never officially a playmate.
It's an amazing world.
And you actually, you got to do a movie night there too, right?
Yes, yep.
Which they all like gather in like Hess' bedroom and you watched a rough cut of the movie, right?
Yep.
Oh, thank you
Yeah.
for bringing that up, honey. Good one.
Well,
Yeah.
you're lucky I watch a lot of crap.
Yeah.
And I watched
Finally,
a lot
it
of
pays off.
It is a mystery world, though. It
Yeah.
really is.
Movie night
Movie night.
in Heth's bedroom,
Yeah.
which is the size of a stadium.
Yeah,
I assume.
it's a surreal experience. Everybody sort of.
Is everyone in pajamas?
Yeah.
Robes?
Full of pajamas and robes, blankets, lots of
A
blankets.
lot of
Doesn't he
cashmere?
have like a chandelier with like all the girls' panties on it and
Yes.
stuff in his bedroom?
Uh-huh.
And he's also just like a giant, like he loves like movie memorabilia and stuff.
He
Like doesn't
does.
he does like just as a big collector of things.
There was a lot of stuff, lots of stuff everywhere. But I got to
No.
give him props. Like he was so great with us and funny in the movie and really lovely. And my mom, who is, she hates it when I describe her as conservative because she's like radically liberal. Yeah.
Right.
But with me growing up, she it was, I don't think there was anyone more evil than Madonna.
Sure.
I wasn't
Well-
allowed to have women's magazines, like 17. I wasn't allowed to watch MTV or TV really in general.
Overly protective.
Yes. I had headgear for a really long time.
Sure.
But, so she would always, during the making of the House Bunny, I'd try to temper. I'm like, Mom, okay, but it's, it's going to be PG-13. It's not I'm not naked, whatever. I'm not sleeping with a bunch of dudes. And she said, oh, just that Hugh Hefner is just despicable. So then we were able to have the premiere at the Playboy Mansion. My mom gets a little bit tipsy because that's a big thing in our family. We love some wine, but we do. And Hef hugs her, and she just melts.
Yep.
She was like, oh, thank you so much for all you've done for my daughter. You are just such an amazing man. Thank you. And I was like, how do I record this? She'll deny it.
How
but
do I play
heard
this
it.
back for her?
Yeah.
Is what you really want.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dossier said that you would prefer a dive bar to some fancy highfalutin go out on the town clubbing nonsense.
I was born in Baltimore and raised
Balmer, yeah.
Yeah, north of Seattle. That's sort of my deal.
Spending time with the Eagles, the Fraternal Order of Eagles, FOE, or
She
the
should be so lucky.
or the Elks Club.
Oh yeah. There's some elks up there.
Yeah,
for
there's a
sure.
version of that here called the Eagles, also from Pittsburgh, where Jamie's from.
They're all over.
She can't get enough of the dive bar, the one over here, by the way.
Yeah, well, it's there's definitely elements of this town that I don't know if I'll ever feel like I fully belong, and I think that's okay. I'm happier.
Yeah.
I think I'm a little happier that way.
Yeah. Yeah, especially the business itself.
Yeah.
That's the part that everyone feels like they're a poser when they're in it. So
Yes,
when I
yeah.
find myself in it sometimes, I feel like, well, this is all bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm falling for it again.
Yeah.
These people don't really care about me. Who am I kidding? But then I'll run into someone that I worked with a long time ago in a movie, and they're a big movie star, and they'll be as genuine and cool and affectionate, and you're like, oh.
That's great.
So they're just a person too, and I made it up in my head that everyone was faking it.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
possible.
No, you're right.
It's just all the damn events and all the that stuff. You just can't help it.
And it's hard, as a woman too. You got to think about what you're wearing and the hair and the makeup, and you're going to be judged so harshly.
Well, yeah, you've had several bouts with the awards stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's got to
I
be.
have a Stony.
Yeah, tell us about the Stony.
I have a Stony from High Times magazine.
Hello, Kenny.
Yeah, very proud, very, very proud of that. It's a bong.
The Stony is a bong.
The Stony's a bong.
A gold bong, I hope.
No, but it is a working bong.
Hello? Really? Is it pewter? What kind of bong are we talking about? It's a working bong.
It's a working bong.
And it has a little plaque on it?
Yep.
That says Scary Movie?
It was actually a movie called Smiley Face.
Oh, of course.
I won for, yeah.
How dare I?
Yeah, so, and I think that I haven't really won too many things.
A lot of nominations. Several.
Like MTV.
Yeah. I think it's called The People's Choice. I think your brand new show was...
we got nominated for People's Choice.
Yeah, you did.
Which I think I had never really paid attention to too much of that world before.
The people want to be heard.
The people want to be heard, and I think it was great for a freshman show to, people digging it. I mean, we didn't win, so, but all the same.
Yeah, but imagine not being nominated. That's the other thing.
Imagine not being nominated.
Now, from the Scary Movie stuff, you tried to suggest that people weren't really jumping up and down, but there's examples of it all throughout the dossier. One of which is, I assume, a mutual friend of ours, Matthew Perry, who says, "Please come work on the Friends show," or suggested you to the writers. I don't really know exactly.
Yeah,
he was just a fan.
That was such, that was such an honor. And terrifying. It was their last season.
Well, they're down to like 3 days a week. Because I would visit him on occasion, and they barely showed up. It was like 2 hours during the week and then show day.
I had no idea what was going on.
Right.
I mean, they would have like their scripts tucked underneath the couch. Like I just didn't realize, like, okay, so wait, when do people
rehearse?
Yeah. Yeah, but amazing. They were just such a well-oiled machine that they were able to, as soon as the camera rolls, I mean, all of them, just incredible to watch.
Yeah.
Amazing to be a part of their last season, and terrifying.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, so let's talk about The Dictator. We're running out of time. We do have a hard out. Let's talk about The Dictator, because I can't imagine anything more intimidating than, hey, would you come improvise with Sacha Baron Cohen?
Yes.
Because is he the most brilliant improviser in motion pictures? I mean, Will Ferrell, the movie's now with Adam McKay, he does 17 different jokes on every line, so there's crazy amounts of improvising happening with him. But there's something about all the stuff that Sacha does.
Yes. Yeah, it was terrifying.
Right?
Yeah.
How could it not be?
Yeah. I auditioned for it, so that was good in the sense that they had a rough idea of sort of what they were getting with me.
Mm-hmm.
But
some water, by the way?
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
Is there anything in your mug, in your show mug?
No.
Let's put some water in there, please.
But yeah, no, and it was the way he likes to work is very, open and sort of chaotic, I think. And it was in the middle of New York, and it was scary.
But when you go into audition, are you also meeting him for the first time, or did you know him prior?
I think it was the first time meeting him.
Oy, oy, oy.
Yeah. Yeah, I was sweating.
He just seems like such a master to me of his own universe that, because we had Jason Mantzoukas on.
Oh, he's great.
We love madly.
Yeah.
And he talked about it a little bit. But wowsy wow.
Yeah. And in that capacity, too, it's almost like you have to, in an odd way, you just have to know what position you're playing.
Right.
And
it's a great way to look at it.
And if he's the pitcher, or I'm the pitcher, essentially, and he's up to bat, we're on the same team, hopefully.
Yep.
So it's just practice. But you have to learn. You have
to learn what kind of pitches he wants.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can make him shine.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow, I hadn't thought of that.
We've been in comedy.
You should be concerned with your own, but you're right. You have to serve the master. Well, just.
I mean, he's brilliant. I knew that sort of. I knew that my role would be a subtler. He had to be.
Yeah.
More grounded person,
Yeah.
because you can't have. Crazy Town and everybody else in Crazy Town as well, because you have to have something that the audience can, your character can, and the audience are supposed to sort of be feeling on the same journey, I guess.
Yeah. No, you're the only sort of real grounded. It's like the niece in the Munsters.
Yeah.
If we will. Was it the Munsters, right, with the niece? Yeah.
Marilyn?
Marilyn, thank you.
I believe.
Yes.
I'll have to look it up now.
But that's just it. I would just about bet dollars. You have to have that grounded character so that the audience goes on the journey and actually cares. There has to be emotional attachment at some point.
Yeah.
So and then he's generous and wonderful, as it turns out, to work with.
He is,
Right.
and a genius.
Yeah.
A genius, really, and just brilliant, and so quick, and very funny, and had great ideas, and it was it was great. It was thrilling to work with him.
Yeah. Well, hell yes. Cody Gidley from the audience here. The best note, advice you've received from someone in the biz. Somebody once said the best advice they got very early on in their career was someone said, get a really great accountant. And,
That is great.
Yeah.
That is really good. Yeah.
You think it's going to be something to do with performance, and well, nope. Get a great accountant. Get a really great accountant.
When I was working on the first Scary Movie, I've always been a blonde, not always naturally. It's been a long time since I've seen what my hair really looks like. But they wanted me to go dark for Scary Movie, dark-haired. So I dyed my hair. And it's very interesting how people really do treat you differently, but that's a different subject. And Shannon Elizabeth, one of my co-stars, she was very va-va-voom-y, very sexy, and wearing sexy clothes. And I remember feeling a little bit envious, that my character was much just not flashy and I don't look like Shannon Elizabeth anyway, but Keenan our director must have, my memory is a little bit hazy, but in my memory, he sort of picked up on something, some of that, pulled me aside, and he said, there's no vanity in comedy. You cannot be vain and funny at the same time. And that is something that really, I try really hard, because as an actor, it's hard to not be vain in some capacity. But
well, part of that is also a protective layer.
Yeah.
Everyone's staring at me, so you suddenly are forced to become self-conscious.
Yeah, but I really loved that idea of what that means. Mm-hmm. It means making an ass out of yourself.
Commitment.
It means commitment. It means being willing for the audience to think of you as a person that you are, maybe your character. I think there were a lot of, I remember one time, also never look yourself up. Never ever Google yourself.
No.
Never. But early on I did, and I remember there were some comments that, I was as dumb as Cindy Campbell, my character, whatever. And so I think you have to be willing to take that risk, I guess, that people may view you as your character. And so whatever that may mean. And that's all part of, I think, the vanity thing.
Well, I've always thought it true of men, and because I am one, I suppose I didn't stop to think that it has to be the same for women. Every time a funny man starts to be concerned with his appearance, he stops being funny.
Yeah.
And I don't want to cite examples. You know who you are. So
It's a little bit different with women.
Well, of course.
But I grew out my armpit hair for The Dictator.
Yeah, everyone asked, I saw in the previous interviews, no one thought it was even possible that you might have grown out your own armpit.
You know, and when they asked
That
me,
is the opposite of vanity, young lady.
well,
that's commitment.
I gotta tell you, I did not think it would be as disgusting as it was.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't think it would be as like long or dark or bushy. I mean, I've never grown out my armpit hair before.
How would you know?
Maybe it'd be, wispy and cute and
Wispy.
a little bit sexy. No, it was truly truly disgusting and gnarly. And but
how did it go over at home?
Chris was so great. I'm sure he was like gagging. But he said, baby, proud of you. You're doing it. He's like, you go, because he's the same way. He'll commit.
Yes, he will.
Yeah,
he is about the commitment.
So yeah, so no vanity. No vanity.
No
or
vanity.
At least attempting no vanity.
But you know what? That piece of advice had not been shared on this show here, episode number 197. So I thank you a great deal because that is a big one. That's a huge one.
Yeah.
Forget about what you might look like if, in fact, your job is to go for the funny.
Right.
Yeah. And I mentioned Will Ferrell. There's very few people who can commit more of their body, and he still is not afraid to show his unattractive front belly.
It's amazing. Yeah.
And back belly. Let's be honest. He'll show the back belly as well.
Yes.
All right, so let's devote our last 8 minutes together talking about your, dare I say, hit television show, because neither one of us wants to think that that's possible. But how did this come about? Because, wow. I know you insist on auditioning for everything.
It was.
But I have a funny feeling.
Story.
No, I do not know the story.
So I had my baby, and my baby was maybe like 6 months old. I was at a point in my career. Chris was doing great. I really was kind of at a crossroads. I didn't really know where I wanted to go. I had some projects that were in very slow development. Felt like they were never going to happen. There were a couple of indie things that were somewhat interesting, and I thought maybe I would quit for a while. Honestly, I thought, well, maybe Chris is doing great, so maybe I'll stay at home and raise my baby, and maybe I would love that, and I did. But one day, in December, I had my baby in August, so I guess my baby anyway. A manila envelope was on my doorstep. Nothing. I was inside reading a script of it was like a 2-page role for this. Anyway, a prostitute for some dinky independent that probably never got made. I know. I haven't really done the prostitute yet. I gotta get on that. But
there's time.
I hope so. I'll be an older prostitute.
Well, listen.
So there was Chris brought in this manila envelope. He pulls it out and he starts reading this, and he's on page 2, and he said, I don't know what you're reading right now, but you have to stop and read this. And I pick up the script. There's no cover letter. I didn't know. I still, to this day, it's a little mysterious. I think Chuck just knows people. It said Mom, written by Chuck Lorre. And I called my agent. I was like, what is this? And he said, I'm really surprised you have the script. We haven't gotten it yet. But anyway, so Chuck asked to meet me for this character who's a single mom in recovery. And my agent said, okay, so you're going to meet with Chuck tomorrow. Why don't you just say some of the lines? And I was like, okay, so it's an audition. He's like, no, it's not an audition. It's not an audition. But, just be cool. I'm like, just start saying some of the lines.
Feel free to memorize.
Yeah.
Between now and the meeting tomorrow.
He's like, wait, but this is an audition. No.
Just wants to say hello.
Just be cool,
Just be cool.
Just be cool.
Wow.
Yeah, so I did, I went and I met with him, and I did read some of the lines, and I'm sure it was an audition. And then I got the role, and it felt great. It felt, like one of those roles that is well written, and so well-written roles are so much easier to play. And a complicated person, and who's not, it's really liberating to not have a love interest all the time. Unlike sort of the movies, I think.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So that's how it happened, and then Allison came aboard, and now you.
Sparks.
And I am
Allison
so excited.
And you. Well, please. I'm super excited. But and the whole cast. There's not a weak link. All the way down to the child who steals any scene that he's in.
I know.
Yeah. And Matt Jones and Nate Cordry and French Stewart and.
But had you done multicam before?
I've done a couple of fabulously not picked up pilots. I did a couple of fabulously short-lived 2 or 3 episodes and out. So the world had escaped me. I had experienced it, but I never really got a chance. And also, none of these things were great, which is why they didn't go and why they didn't. So it was always, oh, this is horrible. I'm not doing this. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. What about for this much?
Right.
They find out what your number is.
Yeah.
And they crush you. They make it fiscally irresponsible to say no. They have an ability to do that. Anywho, so I'd never really got a run at anything I could sink my teeth into, and when my agent called and said, you're on a short list to play Anna Faris's father, I said, well, just don't tell me who the other losers are. I'm doing this. And Allison, believe it or not, we worked together when we were both complete unknowns. I was on a short-lived summer bizarro thing that Rob Reiner and Christopher Guest created in 1990, and she did a guest star spot on it when no one knew much about her. So and then we would see at game night at Matthew Perry's house before it was a television show. But that was it, and I was just, it was all just kind of, and then, Chuck is the master of this universe.
You were so and it's not easy. It's a different.
It's a hybrid.
But you're just brilliant. And one of the things that I remember when we first started doing our scenes is your ability to be so. It's difficult in our format to be in the moment and connecting with an actor, especially when you have to awkwardly pause hold for a laugh, or sometimes you're saying lines.
And there's an audience watching, and especially if you come from stand-up, you're supposed to step on the pedal.
Yeah.
And I hear you. No, it's one of the few things that I feel good at doing, which is playing it real.
Yeah.
And it may be the only thing I can do, because I had no formal training. I'm not proud of it, but it's just the way it happened.
Well,
I really did, just come up through the stand-up.
You're brilliant.
So stop it already. It's very kind of you to say.
I'm so honored and flattered that you are willing to do our show.
We're going back to work tomorrow.
I know.
It's so exciting.
I know.
There's only 2 episodes left in the season. And congratulations on retaining 95% of the Mike and Molly lead-in. This last Monday. 95% retention, people.
Yeah.
Read into that as much as you want. It's just great to be able to find any place in this completely messed up business where your talents converge with your interests. And then you actually have people at the helm who are also good and talented and masters. And getting a show on TV and being successful now is like winning the lottery. It's that flukish.
Oh my gosh.
It's 1 in a million that all the elements line up. So congratulations to you, and I hope I get to loiter as long as they'll let me, because it's the greatest job in show business.
It's so great.
It really is. I was asked to go in and test for this pilot with a wonderful, brilliant actress who'll go nameless for now. And you know, my agent said, you know, you should really do this. And I said, I just want this to be enough so that you get to call the Chuck Lorre people and say, you don't really want to do a pilot, do you?
I love this story.
But that's all I cared about.
I love it. It makes me so happy.
Yeah, and then my poor bastards had to try to negotiate with Bob Broder, which is impossible because he's the greatest negotiator in the history of show business.
And your role ended up going to a good friend of ours.
Did it? Mm-hmm. Oh. Well, we'll talk about that off the air. Yeah.
That was good. I was like, oh, yay, him.
Win-win.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. I couldn't be.
Well, selfishly,
happier.
so happy to have you. And
you're welcome. It's 4:14. I'm getting you out on time.
Thank you for letting me talk about myself.
Well, it's kind of the deal. It's kind of the deal.
Thank you, Chris, for listening. And
now, there's one last thing we have to ask of you before we let you go. It is a game.
Okay.
Where you get to improvise.
From Sam first.
You what?
I'm not in a huge rush, by the way, at all.
Okay. What about Sam?
I have a message from Sam.
Oh, Sam Levine.
Sam Levine.
Who's usually sitting over there with Jamie.
He said, and I quote, I'm trying to watch the show between takes. I guess this is takes of the web series he's on.
It's not a web series.
Oh, sorry. He said, you and Anna, meaning me, you and Anna look beautiful, and Kevin looks like he just finished the LA Marathon.
I did get up at 5:30 a.m. Central Standard Time to get on planes to fly home, so thank you, Sammy. Yes.
Thank you.
I do look like a much older version of myself, you prick. Okay, so the game is called the Larry King game. Chris played it. All the guests have played it except for a couple of British people. Here's what I loved about Larry King, who came to the set, apparently. You told me, interviewed you and Allison. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to talk about that because that's about as surreal as shit gets.
Oh, it was. I think he had no idea who I was or what he was doing there.
You're literally talking to a pterodactyl at this point. I mean, come on. He gets smoke signals from, from ancient tribes. So what I loved about his show was that he would go to the phones, we go to so-and-so city. But beforehand, he would look in the camera and he would share something about himself that nobody wanted to know. So this game is called the Larry King game. I want you to do a bad impression of Larry King. I don't want a good one. I don't even want to attempt at a good one. I purposely want a bad one because that's easy for you because you don't have to be good. And not a funny bad Larry King, just whatever awful thing pops into your head. There's no wrong way to do it. And then you look into the camera the way he would, and then as Larry, you share something about Larry. You don't have to share anything about Anna. You're Larry King. And then you go to the phones. So like you look at the thing and say, about him, and then you go to the city, and if the city is funny sounding, it's a helpful button to the bit. You ready?
Now, he doesn't smile much, does he?
Oh, no.
I think so.
Well, but he's old as salt.
No, wait, does he say I'm Larry King before or after he shares?
Whenever you want. There's no wrong way to do this, I promise. It's already great.
I'm Larry King, and I am afraid of bees. That was, and we're going to the phones. That was awful.
No, I'm afraid of bees?
I don't know.
By the way, 197 shows, no one has said I'm afraid of bees.
What do people know?
Completely original. Play back the Chris Pratt one. No,
You're very kind.
We should have dialed it up. Oh, please. I can't thank you enough.
I'm Larry King.
You want to do it again?
I don't know.
You're going to try something else other than bees? Come on, you can't beat bees.
I'm Larry King, and I hate rainbows. Let's go to the phones. It's awful.
Oh, you would think coming from Seattle all the time in the Northeast, you would like rainbows. Larry, that's perfect.
I hate the color purple.
and
I'm Larry King.
I can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
I will let you get back to Chris and Jack. And thanks for everything.
Thank you.
Honestly and truly.
I'm so happy to be here, and thank you for having me. And
I can't believe I'm not going to see you till 10:15 in the morning.
I know.
See you at the table read.
I know, table read.
Second and last episode of the season.
I know.
How fast did the season go, by the way? Or did it not?
Fast and slow at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, now that we're, episode 21, it feels like we've done 200 episodes.
Right.
Like, I feel like we have done a lot in terms of plot and every.
Well, that's
week.
just it. The show evolved more in its first season than maybe anything ever.
Yeah.
Because they just kept experimenting.
Oh my gosh.
Instead of settling into this is what we are, which makes it really exciting.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, the people of Peoria can't get enough. I mean, I got compliments about this thing like crazy.
And now that, I'm married, so I can't really go out and marry my British man.
No.
But I could still become a whore in Peoria.
There's always hope.
There's always hope.
And on that note, I thank you. And now sit there.
I'm not a whore in Peoria. Let's go to the phones.
Sit there wildly uncomfortable while I wrap things up for the folks at home. Jamie, you have a follow-up?
I just thought, okay, so there's a giant O&A fan in the chat room.
Uh-oh.
His username is Genzel Washington, and I have to read this, what he just wrote.
Okay.
He said, Anna's fantastic, great episode. Kevin Pollak, why not Kevin Check or something?
Oh, he did Chippers.
He did a chip. He did
Chip Chipperson.
That was it. I was just like,
fantastic. Kevin Pollak is something. Love that.
Love it.
Genzel Washington, nicely done, and a shout out.
You have smart fans.
Yeah, well, for the most part. There's two really dumb ones. There's no reason to go into names. I want to thank Dr. Chen and Jamie here in the studio, and Josh running the entire ship out there, Samantha Ward on makeup. We had no, David, of course, Mandel, the greatest intern in the history of everything. But we had no J-Mac and no Sammy Levine in here, and it felt like a much smaller group. And I'll be honest with you, I think they're dead weight.
I don't miss them.
I think they're dead weight. I think they're both out. They're out.
I'm in.
They're out like Mo Green. But you're in. Yeah, we'll see you on next week. Who is here next week? Do we know? Oh, it was going to be Matt Jones, and then he bailed, that son of a bitch. One of the great stars of Mom.
Just going through the whole cast.
Yeah, it's going through the whole cast, one at a time.
Oh,
So,
you got to get Allison.
yes, let's work on that tomorrow.
I would love Octavia Spencer.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, I know she was only a guest star, but.
No, but she did several episodes.
Yeah.
A bunch.
Yeah?
Yeah. No, she, well, she's in the Slammer now.
She's in the Slammer.
But she was very complimentary in our brief time together, so I think we have a shot there. All right, so until next week with our mystery guest, we raise our cup and we say thank you once again for watching the show. And until next time, and Danielle Overland, our media maven, thank you to her as well. Oh, I got by without forgetting. Until next time, and
good night.
good night. Get out of my face.